Welcome everyone. Today's interview is with Claudia Cipriani. She is a stay-home mom for two beautiful children, a wife who will share lots of wisdom today.
I became a mom and I always dreamed about raising my kids and spending a lot of quality time with them as they're growing up.
What do you want to say about stay-at-home moms for those people who are either thinking about becoming a stay-at-home mom or have judgments of becoming a stay-at-home mom?
I would like to start with, I believe that everyone deserves respect, and especially our children. A lot of times we don't see it that way. It's like, oh, you're my child, do what I say. And I think because of that, we're not really teaching them respect. Like, you're not modeling the respect. You're just telling them to be respectful. And I think it's very important for us to respect their feelings. Because it's very easy to be like, oh, just stop what you're doing. Just shake it off. Let's go. Or especially when you're trying to leave the house and you're in a rush and you're like, come on, let's go. And then they're walking like just while they get to the door, they decide to walk like turtles. It's like, and that's the time where you just want to be like, forget it, let's go. And you take over, and it hurts their feelings. And because I say that from experience, because my daughter will look at me like, oh my God, why are you talking to me like that? And that's what made me change my perspective of, I need to do as I do and not as I say.
Like, can you give us a little taste of what it is to be a stay-at-home mom for those who are afraid to become one or are thinking about it?
It can be very scary, to be honest with you. Just the thought of being with your children 24/7. But you could always look at it as a fun way because you're their first teacher. You are the example and you're there. Because then you can't really say, oh, she picked it up in school. No, she picked it up for me. And allows me to take responsibility of how I'm raising my children and not blame anybody else, because as a parent, I need to take responsibility as how my children respond to people and to the world.
What were some of your fears before you became a stay-at-home mom?
Would I be able to balance life? How am I going to be a wife? How am I going to be a mother? And am I really going to have time for myself? And that's something that I'm still working on. It hasn't been easy, because even, let's say, if my husband is like, oh, honey, go out. He'll come home and he wants to encourage me. He's like, oh, go out. I'll stay with the kids. And then when I go out, I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't remember what was fun for me. Well, I love shopping, so, and I'll do that. But for the most part, I'll feel guilty. And if I do go shopping, I make sure that I'm shopping for them, not just for myself. I'm always thinking about, I'll go to Michael's and buy supplies for arts and crafts, mainly because that's what I like, but then I'm like thinking about their craft and what they're going to do and how I'm going to keep them entertained throughout the day.
We're all youth developers, right? All of us. But the one thing that we all have in common, a lot of the times, that we don't take care of ourselves. Yeah. So that battle that you are having, like the work balance, life balance, it's a challenge. So what are some of the things you could share with the youth developer community on how you play? Because it's important. We all know that. So what are some of the ways that you play?
Play. I don't know. I look playing as when we take like short vacations. I consider that part of my play. Also, crocheting, and I just recently started going to the gym, and that's been amazing because I feel like I'm releasing everything, and then I come back a little lighter.
Yeah. Also, how long have you been crocheting?
I've been crocheting, since Claire was about 1 year old, so that's like 3 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself a professional.
Right, but it's like your you time.
Yeah,
right?
Totally, completely.
Awesome. What is the day-to-day activity you must do? If you don't do this as a stay-at-home mom, it's like the day will be ruined? What's something that you have to do, something that you do day to day?
I have to wake up and pray. It's a must, because if I don't, then I don't view my kids the right way. My heart is not in the right place. I'm not a morning person. So it's like I have to pray and I have to have a cup of coffee. That is it's the thing. I open my eyes. Sometimes I find my kids in my bed already. So I have to quickly pray and make sure to go get my cup of coffee. You know, I'll prep the coffee the night before so I could just get up and make my coffee.
Awesome. That's good. So that's part of your nightly routine. You make your coffee ready to go.
Yes.
It's ready for you.
It. So I can when I wake up I smell it.
You hear, you smell it, and you're happy.
Yeah.
Good. Those are the little pleasures in life. You know, we have to find those.
Got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops.
All right. So what are you currently reading?
This is one of the books that I'm currently reading. It is called Building Emotional Intimacy in Your Marriage. I think when it comes to parenting, one of your number one focuses is your marriage, because that is what the kids see, and that we are their first teachers. And so even with conflict, how do we resolve conflict sometimes in front of the kids? Because you can't just be like, oh, we'll talk about it later. You know, because the kids will know that we're being hostile throughout the day because we're like, oh, I'll talk to you later. You know, we'll deal with their problem behind closed doors. And that's something that we want to learn how to do, so we can model how to resolve problems and not just avoid them. It's so easy to avoid it.
Absolutely easy. That's such a good point. And I'm not a mother, but I'm like, wow, that's accountability. Accountability to being sane and a disciple. That's amazing. So what has been your top 3 books or books that have made a huge impact and influence you?
First book that impacted me, of course, was the Bible. And now my second book that I read is Traveling Light by Max Lucado. And then the third one is the 5 languages of apology. Yeah, expressing regret, accepting responsibility, making resolutions, genuinely repenting, requesting forgiveness. I think it's an amazing book because sometimes some people are okay, like my husband, he's okay if I'm sorry. And I'm not okay with that kind of apology. I need an apology of like, I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? I need that extra reassurance of you making sure that I'm okay. And it's an amazing book. We both read it. And ever since then, we've learned to apologize to each other. We don't always follow the 5 languages, but we go back to it. I think in the back of our minds, since we read it, we can correct how we apologize. There's been times where he'll be like, I'm sorry, and then he'll come back and he's like, no, I'm sorry, do you forgive me? And you know, and he's affectionate. You know, he's not really an affectionate guy, but because of that, he knows that I love affection. He meets me where I'm at.
Wow, I think I might have to borrow that.
It is an amazing book. No joke, all jokes aside, it's a really good book. Yeah. It really did change our perspective because you are talking, because if it's a person you love, you want to change. You know, you want them to learn really how you feel, but it's not about how you feel, it's about them. It's about how they feel more comfortable, or making it easier for them to forgive you after you've done something that, you know, has hurt them emotionally.
Tell us a little bit more about your mentors.
My first mentor is my grandmother. We lived here in New York at the beginning, back in the 80s. She will always come up to me and spend quality time with me, very discreetly. It wasn't one of those, oh, you know, but it was very nice where she would put me aside and always tell me that, you know, my hair was beautiful. Because in all honesty, I looked very different from the remaining part of my family. So it's like if she knew that I may or may not struggle with that in the future. So I always remember that. I remember her making that quality time to make sure that it's okay for me to be different. And so those are the things that I remember. And then as a teenager, when we were reunited again when we moved to Florida, I gave her a little bit of a hard time because I'm not like everybody else really in the family, like even my sister, because if you tell her jump, the response is how high, and mine was always why. I don't want to jump. I don't need to jump. Explain to me why should I jump. And so that's when my grandmother figured out that I was that way, and she, at the beginning, it was very insulting to her. But I think later on we had a conversation where she was like, I was hurt by your response, but I understand that you're different. And also, she respected that I was different. It took her a while, but then she accepted me for me. And that was the amazing part. And that's before, I believe then I came back to New York. And that was the last time that I actually got to see her before she passed away. Wow. So it was amazing that, we were in good terms, because we weren't for quite a while because, my parents were going through a divorce, I believe, during that time, and a lot of hard ups and downs. And I was so grateful that I got to have a talk with her. My La Leche group. And my husband, he's a great support and always talking to my girls. They're wonderful. We all have small children. So we all relate to, being a mom, being a wife, being a mother, and they keep me sane.
What will be one piece of advice that you would give to future stay-at-home moms?
Lead by example.
Yeah, no.
All right, that's it, guys. Claudia Cipriani, stay-at-home mom of 2 beautiful children, a wife with lots of wisdom, a true superstar. And as always, guys, please leave your love, comments, and likes for Claudia. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Why superstars?